We're going to get more 5-star reviews. We're going to get more customers. We're going to get more referrals. We're going to get more active members. And if they're charging accordingly for that 5-star service, we're going to hit our $5.5 million in revenue.
What's up, Jared?
Hey, what's up, man?
Nothing. Just chilling, dude.
That one snuck on me, starting that sucker.
Yeah, well, I know. I like to sneak up on you. I don't want you to get comfortable.
I'm never comfortable when I'm talking to other people.
Yeah. Hey, did you ever make friends at church? We talked about this a long time ago.
So I've been doing really good at shaking hands and smiling when people get up, during the like meet and greet. When they're like, say hi to your neighbor or whatever. Those people around. Those other crazy
you actually
people
do it.
That showed up to church.
Yeah.
But I'm not. I mean, I don't know. I was thinking about like volunteering for like youth group or something. I feel like I could do that because I'm like, I'm like not old yet, but I'm not young.
Sure.
And I feel like I dress cool enough to where maybe I could like, they'd be like, look at this cool old guy, because to them I'm old.
Yep.
But
I don't know. I don't know what kids
that I'm not cool anymore. I don't really know.
I don't know what kids think are cool. They might look at you and just be like, looks like an old guy.
Yeah, look at this guy.
Why is that old guy not on his phone all the time? That's weird.
What? He wears black. That's so weird.
Yeah, geez, it's hot out.
Yeah. I don't know.
That could be cool though. I mean, you never know until you try it.
True. Very true. I'm actually like pretty outgoing when I'm by myself. It's kind of weird. It's kind of funny. But when I'm with other people, I'm less outgoing. I don't know why that is, but
like so even like with your even like well, thank you, Jared, for sharing. Even like with your family, like does that count as with other people?
Gotcha. Yeah, if I'm with my family, I usually like I won't strike up a conversation with another person. I'll usually let them do the conversing, and I'll just chill in the background.
Yeah, gotcha.
Kind of how
just
I roll.
Let them take the lead in that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you just got to search yourself. You just got to be like, nope, it's my time.
This
is Chris Still. This is Chris Still. You should talk to her.
Yeah, that's Hey, have you met my wife? She's really cool.
Yeah, you should have a conversation.
She loves to talk. Very good talker.
Yeah. Anytime we want to come over for dinner, I'd be happy to do that. Just
text my wife.
Yeah, I'll be in the car.
I should just give out my wife's phone number.
Oh, gosh. Yeah. Christelle, you made a bunch of friends through me.
Hey, we're new at church. Here's my wife's phone number.
Yeah. Give her a call. Arrange whatever you want. That's it.
Yep. Yeah, that'd be good.
Yeah. Cool. Cool, dude. What are we talking about today?
I don't know. Scheduling, probably. Dude, hey, I know, like, on the topic of scheduling, real quick, I know we talked about, I think a few episodes ago, talked about, morning routine and schedule and how important it is. Dude, I have new thoughts about a morning routine.
Dude, I'm ready for it.
So I think morning routines are really important. And I think like just that time of like doing things on a regular basis that are setting yourself ahead. Right. And I have consistently done like my a version of my morning routine for quite a while now, where I get up early enough, I drink my coffee, read my Bible, do my journal. I write down the things I need to do that day, things where I want to go, what I'm doing, where I want to be, right? But since I moved down to Florida, I've been like struggling with my schedule and like actually getting enough done. Like, the whole concept of like getting, moving forward like 1% a day. Like if I can just push forward and accomplish 1% every day, I think it's by the end of the year, you're well above 100% better or well above.
Yeah. Makes sense.
375%. It actually starts compounding, right?
Yeah.
And I've seen that, like, if you can just focus on just getting 1% more, like, done and better every day, like, you should be working on things that are going to move you forward. And if you can do that at a 1% rate every day, then it just, over time, it explodes. Dude, but I have been struggling to get that done here. Just struggling hard.
And what do you mean specifically?
just finding the time in a day to get everything done. And I know like me and you talked about it because you work for me, and which is actually another really cool thing that we could talk about when people start working for you. Because like I came to you with this problem of like, dude, I don't have enough time in the day. Like I'm not getting the stuff done to move the business forward. I'm just stuck working on the things that need to get done every day. And so there was no moving forward, which would be terrible for the business, right? Because then we're not going anywhere, and that'd be bad for you. It'd be bad for the other employees. La-di-da, la-di-da. But it's so super cool coming to you. And this is I think this is the first time that this has happened. Like I've had times in my life where, I hired your wife. She was my first CSR. That was amazing. That was the first employee I ever hired, was your wife. And she took something that I was doing and started doing it herself. And then I didn't have to do it. And it wasn't even that I didn't have to do it. It was like my brain didn't have to think about doing it either. That was like huge. I was like, this is
completely off your plate.
Completely off my plate. It was mind-boggling how big of a difference that made in my life. I'll always be indebted to your wife for that. She's a good person.
She is. She's pretty cool.
She is cool. So what was cool, like this time, so now I have you working for me, and you are, what's your title? What do we call you?
Director of Business Development, I think was the last title.
You are Director of Business Development for Plum Social, which I think is a good title because it doesn't just put you in this one seat. It puts you in like this, I'm developing this business, right? Pushing this business forward. So I like it. So I came to you with this problem of not having enough time to get everything done, and I'm not being able to push the business forward and work on the things that I need to work on. And you were like, well, let's, we kind of tossed around the idea of like, well, maybe, let's delegate first of all. And then it was, so do we need to hire another person to like do some of these things that you're doing currently? And then you took it like outside of our conversation, and you were like, you went through and you found, you went and talked with other employees and found more efficient ways to do things and thought about things from a different perspective, and then found a way to make it so that more got done without having to hire more people and still freed up my time. Right?
Yeah.
That was the first time that's ever happened.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Like for somebody else to think outside the box on my behalf.
Yeah.
That was rad.
Yeah, that's like my principal goal in life is to arrive at the answers to your problems before you even recognize that they're a problem.
Yeah. Or even just having somebody to recognize your problems. Right?
Oh yeah, we should all have that person, like in life and in business. And then like if you're unified with that person, then you can work together to sort of overcome that problem. And
yeah. And I think that's why like couples, when they couple together on a business, I think that's why they do so good, because typically the wife is like way more in tune with what your problems are.
Yeah, I would say that they either do really well or they do really poorly, because the couples aren't ready to like actually grapple with their problems internally.
Yeah.
And then they come to the business, and then suddenly it's like, oh wow, we're not actually willing to like work on ourselves and work on our marriage. And so then our business is going to suffer as well. Because I think I see that too in certain circumstances.
Yeah.
But it's the same principle though. Like it's the same principle. It's just the negative side.
Yeah. Yeah. I know for me, like because I grew prospector to a point before Christelle kind of quit her job and came on board full time. And not that she didn't help, she definitely helped a lot. But then when she came on board, it was less of her working on the business and her more of like pointing out where I'm going wrong or how I'm thinking wrong or what is actually holding me back. And it was extremely, extremely helpful to have that insight. Yeah. But it's cool. It's cool to have it.
Yeah. Yeah, cool. I actually never, because I never actually talked to you and it sounds like we did that I mean, through Costin and I's efforts, really, we hopefully gave you more time through what we were trying to do. Because I
it
never
was
really
super
closed that
cool.
loop
Like
with you.
I had a meeting with Costin this morning, and we laid out like he's taken over posting all the content. He found a new way to do the titles on the reels that save him hours. Me and you on our last podcast, we were like, hey, if we just record it this way, then it can require less editing time. You know, really just like dialed in and got a little more efficient. Whereas like on the front end, it would have been so easy just to go, yeah, we'll just hire somebody.
Yeah.
Rather than go to that, okay, how do we make this work? Like, can we make this work with the people we have?
Yeah.
Or do we actually really need to hire somebody? It's probably an important question to ask, in the future.
Yeah, and I think always asking that question, no matter how big you get, because the bigger you get, conceivably it gets easier to be like, let's just hire homeboy for whatever, because he can just do it and we'll find work for him. But that's not doing that employee any justice, because you don't have a full built out job description for them. And the last thing we want is coworkers who don't have enough work to fill their time, because they don't want that. We don't want that. And really, like, innovation is always encouraged through like times of difficulty. Like, that's when you're going to innovate, is when you're like pressed and you're like, okay, like, what if we couldn't hire somebody, but we still need to do this? How do we do this? And I think if we're always innovating, I think it's just going to be so much better for us and for anybody.
Yeah, totally. It's cool.
Yeah, cool. Well, yeah, I'm glad that was helpful, because it was fun talking to Costin, like trying to problem solve through, like, man, how can we do this? Like, we can figure this out, and like, walking through all the scenarios, like, well, if we do this, it looks like this, but if we don't do that, then maybe this. And so, yeah, it's also fun working with people who are down to just like brainstorm and come up with solutions, and everybody's down to like do the work to figure it out. Like, that's really fun. Like, if you don't have that in your team, then like you got to do some work to get that, or worst case scenario, remove the people who are keeping you from that. Because it's like, man, that collaborative environment of problem solving is really, really cool and really fun. It actually makes work a lot more fun.
That's probably the most exciting part about like this business that we're working on now, and probably a lot of our future businesses, is I feel like we have that option. Whereas with like the plumbing business, like, we have such a lack of guys. Like, we've just hired anybody we can get our hands on. And then we've kept the ones on that are like, that we can deal with, or that can hang, right?
Right.
And so like it's tough to come, like, we're always short guys, and it's tough to come to like those points where you're like, okay, let's collaborate. Let's see if we can make this work a different way, because you're dealing with plumbers, first of all. And then there's never enough of them. So you're just trying to get as many as you can, and you're always overwhelmed with work. And it's cool to have this other business where we're like, get to think things through and do them differently, and build this team that can really collaborate and have a cool culture that way. It's pretty exciting. I think it'll be fun.
Yeah. How would you like, what are the biggest things that you've done in your plumbing business that's impacted the culture in a positive way?
So I was actually just talking to my general manager about this, Eddie, and because we were, we hired our general manager, and then it was like, okay, now he's managing the business. He's managing the guys, the day-to-day, the little nitty-gritty stuff, got him trained. And then it was like, okay, so now we really need to like refine this business. And so we spent probably a good 6-7 months just refining, like getting this thing, like getting our profit margins up, getting rid of wastefulness, processing things, systemizing things, and making sure it runs like a real smooth machine, so that we don't have to be involved every day, right? So creating, the SOPs for everything, like, this is how we do it, period, right? And then writing that down, and then training employees, like, okay, here's your SOPs, here's where you find this information, and then they go read the information. Oh, this is what I do. And if they forget, they go back to their SOP, right?
Okay,
so,
cool.
So it makes the business run real smooth. But then, then we got to this point in the refinement process where we're like, okay, so now it's down to, we've got like all the systems in place. We've got everything to where we're being as profitable as possible, and the only way to get better is to make our team better.
Sure.
So how do we go about making our team better? Because I don't believe, like, we reached 5 million in revenue. We reached, 20-25% profit margins, somewhere in there. And I don't want to just stop.
Sure.
I don't want to
Sure.
grow my business physically in size anymore, but to not continually try to get better at it seems like a shame. Seems like if we can continually get better and make the business better and better and better, then
Right.
we're going to continue to dominate our market. It's
Right.
because
Yep.
if we can do that over a long period of time, it's going to be so hard for somebody new to come in.
Sure, of course.
Because we're just going to have this crazy, like, super efficient, awesome machine going, right? And it's going to take them years to be able to build that. Whereas we'll already have it done. So all that said, we are down to, like, how do we create a culture and how do we motivate our team in order to come to work, enjoy their job, and really believe in what we're doing and have a desire to push that forward. And that's a tough thing to do.
It's very hard.
Yeah,
it's very hard.
Especially when you're dealing with plumbers, right?
Sure. Why do you think that is? Can you speak to that just for a second?
I think because they're not naturally, like, they haven't worked in an environment like that before. So they haven't worked in an environment where they come to work and they feel like they're part of a team. It's usually a, like, me against you against the contractor, every guy for himself kind of thing. Or maybe they split up into little cliques, like these 2 or 3 guys, like these have this clique over here and these guys have this clique over here, and they kind of butt heads, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know that you can ever get rid of all of that just because of the nature of the business and who you're dealing with. Nothing against plumbers, by the way.
Sure, of course.
I believe that they just, because I used to be a plumber. I used to be just like that. But it was through things that I learned, through experiences that I had, that I kind of grew past that and realized, if I want to take advantage of these opportunities, then I have to, kind of become different. I have to become a different person. And so we've been really, like, trying to figure out, how do we get our guys on board with that? And we've tried a lot of different things. And I would say, so we've tried, creating monetary incentive. We've tried, creating, lots of benefits to work there. We've created, a comfortable space for them in the shop with snacks and, beef jerky and fizzy water and buying whatever their favorite snacks are. We throw parties for them, that kind of stuff. And I would say all of that has worked to some extent.
Sure.
Because we have gotten better. We've seen our metrics get better with our team, but I still think there's more room for improvement. And so we have, as of lately, we used to go and define, like, what our expectations of our technicians are. And we had all these things we wanted our technicians to do. We wanted them to, man, I'm not going to be able to think of them all. But, like, one off the top of my head was, we were struggling on getting more 5-star reviews. So we made a goal, and that's part of it. We started making goals of where we want to be by the end of the year.
Sure.
So we want to hit.
Were those goals? Was it the company goal or was that individual goals?
Company goals. Okay. So we made a revenue goal, and we wanted to base these goals on something that we feel that everybody in the company can impact. Like, everybody in the company can have an impact on these. And so they were revenue. We have a 5-star review goal. We want to get to 1,000 5-star reviews. And then there was a couple other ones. I have them here in my journal. They were pretty good. So, and then we were like, okay, so we have these goals. So let's give these guys these goals. Let's tell them. Let's write them up on the board and let's go, hey, these are our goals for the year. You guys can all help us hit it, right? So that way they feel like they're a part of something. And it was just like, they were just like, after first quarter,
Sure.
we were a little shy on our revenue goal. And one of our guys said, well, I mean, we'll make it up in like quarter 3 or quarter 4 because that's busy season. And he
Sure.
was
Sure.
like, yeah,
It's not the
but
point. It's
you
not
don't
the
want to
point.
start out the year shy of your goal. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
what if we hit our quarter goal
Huh.
and then we blew it out of the water on quarter 3 and quarter 4? How cool would that be? Like, that'd be even
Yeah.
cooler, right?
Sure. Sure.
You know?
Mm.
And so what we came up with, this is our newest thing, right? We basically toned it down to, we're only going to preach at them 5 or 3 different things. So our goals were 1,000 reviews, 5.5 million in revenue, and 2,000 active memberships. Right now we're at 1,000. And so those are our goals for the year. And then we broke them down into quarter goals so that everybody can see them. We have them posted up where we do our training and all that stuff. And then we used to like get them, we used to have all these things that we would tell them to do. And it was like, well, we tell them to do this, and then they would get better at this for a little bit. So then we would move on to this other thing. Oh, well, let's tell them to do this now.
Right.
And then after saying that enough times, they would get better at this, but then they'd get bad at that first thing again.
Sure.
There's just this cycle of continually going through.
Yeah, sure.
Hey guys, for example, when you're at the house and you're done, ask the customer for a 5-star review. If they do that, 5-star reviews start going through the roof, right? But then they forget to take pictures, or they forget this other stuff, right?
Yeah, sure.
And so we asked ourselves the question, like, okay, what is it that causes us to get 1,000 reviews? What is it that causes us to get to 5.5 million in revenue? What is it that causes us to get to 2,000 active members? Like, what are the things that the technicians do every single day that we just need them to do, like the bare minimum?
Sure.
What's the core of what we want them to accomplish? And it boiled down to 2 things: offer 5-star service and charge accordingly. That's it.
How'd you come to those 2 things?
Because if we can tell them, hey, offer 5-star service, here's what it looks like. Charge accordingly, here's how. Right? If they're offering 5-star service, we're going to get more 5-star reviews. We're going to get more customers. We're going to get more referrals. We're going to get more active members. And if they're charging accordingly for that 5-star service, we're going to hit our 5.5 million in revenue and beyond.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I understand. Yep.
Yeah. And then going, okay, outside of the technicians, right? It's so easy to go to technicians and be like, you guys need to be asking for reviews. You guys need to be asking for reviews. Outside of our technicians, what else? Like, can we do anything else to help push these things forward? Because the technicians already have a lot going on their plate, right?
Yeah,
to try to get them to do all these like 10 million different things, they're going to do one of them and forget the rest. And then, like I said, you're going to yell at them for one thing, and then they're going to do that thing, but they're going to forget the rest.
Yeah.
And it's not that they don't care about your business. It's not that they don't want to be on board. It's that they just have a lot going on, and they
got a lot going on.
Remember, right?
And they're humans, and they got lives, and they got stuff happening.
Exactly. So then we asked ourselves the question: okay, 5-star reviews. Outside of our technicians, can we come up with an automation to get more 5-star reviews? Can we ask the customer more? So I went in and found out, hey, we're only texting the customer one time asking for a 5-star review. So now we're texting them twice. We didn't have an email automation in place. Now we have an email automation to get 5-star reviews.
Sure.
So going in and thinking of those things, like that continual refinement, right? How do we get these things to go? How do we refine these things? How do we make this better? Yeah, I don't even remember what we were talking about. The things that I've done to create a culture.
Yeah.
I think it really comes down to like those are the 2 things that I want my culture to be about. Come to work, have a good time, make lots of money yourself, live a good family life because you're not working super late, you're not working on weekends, you're getting paid well. offer a 5-star service and charge the customer accordingly. That's really the culture that we want to build. Like, it's you come to work and you are there to offer a 5-star service. And in doing so, we will make sure you have a great place to work and you will have an awesome job and you will have everything you need to do your job. And all my guys know that. It was for us, the refinement was really just breaking it down to these 2 core concepts. We were like, if we can just get them to do these 2 things, this company will do a lot better. Not that it's not doing good, because it's doing really good, but it could always be better.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Have you sort of charted out how you're going to encourage your guys on those 2 steps?
Yeah, I mean, we do training, every Monday morning, every Thursday morning. Monday morning, we do kind of a short, 15 to 30-minute training. We go over kind of the wins from the last week. So if somebody did something really good, we make sure and let everybody know. We go over kind of what we've got coming up this week, like future jobs, if anything's pre-scheduled or if anybody needs to go get any parts, we come up with those things just to so everybody's on the same page.
Right.
And then, usually after that, we'll go over some sort of, customer service, communication kind of thing. And then Thursdays, we've been doing lots of technical training.
Right.
And lots of customer service training. And so, but it's kind of been all over the place. And so now with this new idea of, okay, what does 5-star service look like? Like, let's actually sit down. Let's define what this looks like for our guys, 100%, in relation to our goals. Hey guys, our goal is 1,000 reviews. How do we get 1,000 reviews? We offer 5-star service.
Right.
This is one way where we can offer 5-star service. And I leave that up to the general manager. So he might go through the week and be like, man, we're really lacking in this area, or we could use improvement in this area. And he'll make that the training on Thursday, right? Okay, how could our service get better? Even if it's at 5 stars, how can we make it better than 5 stars?
Yeah.
Let's start training our guys. Like, what is that? And he'll probably break those down into like core concepts, right? And then teach those core concepts rather than being all over the place, completely confused.
Yeah, sure.
It's going to be as simple as possible, right?
Yeah.
And I know I preach that in a lot of areas in your business. Like, let's keep this thing as simple as possible. And this is just like a prime example of it. If you're building a business and it's complex when you got like 1 or 2 guys, wait till you get, 8 or 9 or 10 guys in there and a general manager and a couple CSRs. That's a whole nother level of complexity. And if you start with complex, it's going to get really complex.
It's amazing to me how quick we make things complex. Like, to me, like, at least in my experience, my go-to is make it more complex.
Yeah.
And so you preach that a lot, but it's like really good that you preach that a lot.
It's
because it's always something that I have to remind myself of constantly. Like, I always run these things when I'm like, it's my son intruding.
Dad, I want to be in your podcast.
No, I'll be on sales calls, and the kids have this habit of they just bust in because they're always like after they get home from school and they bust in, they're like, Dad, what are you doing? And then they're all just like, I'm like, these are my children. They live here with me. And so they just always do that. But anyway, keeping things simple. It's like, I always run that through like in my head when I'm like, okay, so I just like, for example, with Plum Social, I just made a bunch of spreadsheets to try to track a bunch of different things. And then I always look at them like, okay, first off, are these even necessary? Because sometimes we make things that aren't necessary and we just do them because we want to feel busy. And so I sit there and I'm like, are these actually necessary? And then if I determine that they are, I go, okay, well, how can I make these easier? How can I make these slimmer? Or are these actually looking at the right things? Or are they things that I think they need to be looking at and they're actually not relevant? And complexity. What's the saying? There's a saying like complexity is the enemy of progress or something like that.
Something like that.
Yeah, but it's so true. So preaching it a lot is, I think, good because it's the first thing I forget.
Yeah, I can't remember who told me. They were like, keep it so simple it's scary.
Sure.
Like, it seems like stupid simple. Like,
Yeah.
like just absolutely like dumbfoundingly simple.
And that's like where, again, to like bring this all the way back to the beginning of the conversation with like a collaborative team. That's why it's so important, because
Mhm.
where I think this is simple, I show it to you and you're like, dude, I don't even know what's going on here. I'm like,
Yeah.
no, dude, it's simple. Look at this.
Yeah.
And you just do this. You're like, I don't get it. And then that
Yep.
tells me like, okay, this isn't simple. But if you don't have that and you just unleash complexity upon your guys, they'll smell it out in a heartbeat. Like in my experience, like releasing policy to a bunch of coworkers,
Yep.
I can know in like 15 seconds if it's going to work or not, because they look at me like,
Yeah.
what
Are
do you
you
want me to
kidding
do?
me?
Like, this seems like a weird play. And then one guy's like, what if you did this? And I'm like, oh, yeah, I
That's a
didn't
good
think about
idea.
that. Dang, maybe we will do that. Hold
Yep.
on. I'll be right back.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. And really like imagine trying to like, if you've got something complex, trying to train your plumbers on it. You're going to spend all week training your plumbers on this complex system, right? And if it's simple, it's easier to manage, it's easier to train, it's easier all around. You don't have to be there. And then if you can set up like automations and things that run in the background,
Mm-hmm.
that's like the ultimate simplicity, right? Something that you
Yeah.
don't even have to think about. You set up once and then you don't think about it. That's probably the best.
Yeah. Yeah. Especially nowadays where we can find more automations than we used to be able to find.
Yeah. Like you know, I run a $5 million plumbing company, or I own one. I don't even run it. But if anybody walked in the door of that plumbing company, and I actually did a tour of the shop one time, and because I wanted people to see how simple it is, like how it's not exciting, it's not fancy, it's you would never guess that that business does that much revenue and that much profit. It would, if you walked into the shop and you saw everything that we did, and then I told you the revenue we did and the profit we made, it would blow your mind, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or if,
Wow.
yeah, the CSRs work at home, and it's very, 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 very simple.
Yeah.
Now, when you get into it, it gets a little more complex, but in reality, like those things aren't super complex, all the things that you don't see. And I think that's probably where most people miss. They can see the business, but then you get into all like the nitty gritty and the systems and all that stuff, and it gets a little more complex. But once you start to understand them, it really isn't that bad.
Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, cool, man.
Cool, man. Yeah, that was helpful. I think one of the biggest takeaways that I took was, if you can create big goals for your company or yourself, then you reverse engineer them into their parts, and then you can start attacking the parts of that goal, and then you'll achieve the goal. Whether that's through the 1% issue, like a rule that you're talking about,
Yep.
or whether it's through like, here's our big goals. What does this actually mean? And then how do we get there? And then you just timestamp it out, and then you communicate that to your team.
Yeah, man.
Cool, dude. Thanks, Jared. Appreciate you, dude.
See you, Holmes.
See ya.
Hey guys, if you liked that episode and you want to see more content like that, I picked out a special episode just for you. All you got to do is click right here. Go ahead and do it. Just click right there.